Hello, friends. Welcome back from our unintentional posting hiatus. We want to do an April monthly reading recap, so let's get into it.
Only 10 days late. Jenn and I had a competition going on in the month of April to see how many recommended books we could read. I read 13 total books, 7 of which were recommended. How many did you read?
I read 11 books and 7 were recommended.
Okay, so nobody won.
It's a tie.
Danny recommended that I read A Little Luck by Claudia Piñeiro, and this was an automatic 5-star read for me. It will be at the top of my list at the end of the year, and I'm just so thankful for this recommendation. I love this story. You follow a woman that has basically run away from her past, her home country of Argentina. She's in Boston at the start of the book, and she has to go back to her hometown, and everything that unfolds is just unbelievable. And I really, really do not want to give anything away because the beauty of this book is how the author crafted it. You find little pieces of what happened, and when they hit, oh my goodness, they hit hard. This was just a fantastic read, and I recommend it to everybody.
I love that you're out of breath and this is the first book. This first book I'm going to talk about, I have seen so many times and never picked it up because I thought it was fantasy, and that just is not always up my alley. Brandy recommended that I read The Frozen River by Ariel Lawhorn, and I'm so glad I picked this up because it wasn't fantasy, and I did end up really liking this. It is categorized as a historical mystery type. I really enjoyed this so much. It was like a long, drawn-out mystery with like literary prose at times that I just was so engaged with. This follows a woman named Martha Ballard, who is a midwife trying to solve this murder in her small community. And there's so many twists and turns. I just really enjoyed this so much more than I thought I was going to.
You say you don't like fantasy, but you fell in love with some fantasy novels
this
last year.
I know. Well, that's why I picked this up then. But I was pleasantly surprised either way.
This book was recommended by Leslie, Hungerstone by Kat Dunn. This was not only an amazing cover, absolutely love this cover. It just is so striking and it made me want to read it. This was a great book. I've never read Carmilla, and now I really want to, which is basically the Dracula before Dracula. I'm very intrigued by this story, which also features a female vampire. This brings that character into a new light in a very similar yet different way from what I understand the original novel was like. This is about a woman that realizes that she's strong and does not need to be tread on any longer, and the change in her persona in the middle of this book and towards the end just had my jaw on the floor. This was a really, really awesome book, and I enjoyed the recommendation tremendously.
Didn't you want to read this one anyway?
Yeah, I did.
This next book was recommended by the Glass Family Cat, True Grit by Charles Portis. I feel like I'm going to be the odd one out here, but I want to explain why I feel the way that I do. This book follows a 14-year-old girl named Maddie Ross as she tries to avenge her father's death by finding a bounty hunter / marshal, and him and her go to try to find the person that unalived her father. I am in the middle of reading the Lonesome Dove series. I'm 2 books in, and if you've read those books, they're also Westerners, and they're very lyrical and just have this magical prose. In this book, it's a lot of he said, she said, they said I, said he. And I feel like I got so tripped up on that, and that there's not a whole lot of adventure. There's stuff happening, but I just didn't feel like compelled by it. I don't know. It was okay, but don't read this if you're in the midst of reading Lonesome Dove.
There's something about that writing style that makes me feel like the author doesn't trust me to know who's speaking that drives me crazy. Yeah. Is that what you felt?
Yeah, kind of.
Have you read James Baldwin and enjoyed it? Have you read Richard Wright and enjoyed it? Have you read James by Percival Everett and enjoyed it? Well, guess what? I've got a recommendation for you that was recommended to me that is unbelievable and is in the same vein. And if you're looking for something to hit that mark, especially James, read A Different Drummer. This book was so fantastic. It's by William Melvin Kelley. I don't understand how this book is not more well known. This was written, I believe, in the 60s or the late 50s, and it is about a man who sets fire to his field and leaves, and a bunch of other people of color leave with him. He sets this like exodus in motion from the town that he lives in. But the beauty of this book is that it's told through the eyes of all of the people in the town. And so you get different perspectives of how it happened. And it's generally through the eyes of a white person. And I cannot say how important this book felt, especially for that moment. And my God, if you like James, I promise you, you will love this. And I'm just so thankful to have been recommended this by, my goodness, I'm out of breath, the Cole Parks. I'm sorry. Thank you so much. This is going to be a top read of the year for me. So 2 in 1 month, that's an amazing feat. This was an amazing, amazing book. Read it, read it, read it.
We did a DNF video where we talked about books that we DNF'd. And one of those for me was Before We Forget Kindness, which is actually the 5th book in the series of Before the Coffee Gets Cold.
And you were so excited to read this one.
So excited because I loved all of the other ones. And I have to be honest, I ended up loving this once I tried to get into it and read it. I don't know if it was just the time. I'm such a mood reader. But once I sat down and continued with it, I cried at every single one of the stories. There's always 4 or 5 shorter stories within these books. And I loved it. And I'm happy that I completed the series. Who knows? There might be a 6th one after
So
this
there's a
too,
note. If you put something to the side, maybe it's just the way you woke up that morning. Read it another day.
Yeah.
GLC recommended that Jenn read Margo's Got Money Trouble by Rufi Thorpe, but I saw it and I wanted to read this for a while. So I read it. And I want to say that I absolutely adored this book. I think this book is just a lot of fun, but also serious in many ways. It's about a young mother who has sort of been abandoned by the father, and her father is a pro wrestler. Her mother is not really in her life. And she is, like I said, a young mother trying to figure out how to provide for not only herself, but her newborn, and also figure out how to be a mother in this scenario alone with a roommate. Her father eventually moves in with her, and that's a whole different series. But at the heart of this book, it's just a kick-ass woman that figures it out. She stumbles upon a platform that I'm sure you're all familiar with, probably don't use, maybe do, that's your prerogative. It's for fans. And the journey that she goes on with the people that help educate her on what this is and how that impacts her as a mother was just amazing. I think Rufi did a fantastic job with a pretty unique scenario. And again, this is just about a kick-ass mother that's figuring it out for her and her son, and I loved it.
After reading Sing Unburied Sing by Jesmyn Ward and falling in love with her writing, I was so happy to see that Wonkaby recommended that I read her memoir, Men We Reaped, and I'm so happy I did because her writing just, I feel like, will never disappoint me. In this, you follow a portion of her life, a 4-year span, where she loses 5 young Black men that she is either related to or friends with through different means, a lot of them unalivings. This is such a deep memoir and explores really deep themes. I enjoyed it. There are some trigger warnings to look into if you need to do that, but I do recommend this memoir.
Well, she has other books and we own them, so you should read them.
I'm so excited.
Pantheon was kind enough to send me a copy of The Dream Hotel by Laila Lalami, and this was a book that I was exceptionally excited to read, and it didn't necessarily meet my expectations. It's about a woman that is detained because she's accused of potentially hurting her husband in the future based on a dream that she's had. She has an implant, and this really looks at social media and our willingness to provide most of our information to these big players in the social sphere and what it could mean from a Big Brother perspective. This kind of felt like Minority Report, which I know is based on a novel by Philip K. Dick. I believe it was Philip K. Dick. You can yell at me if it wasn't. But I don't know. I just felt like it was too similar to a story that I've already read before. I enjoyed the time with the mother in the detention center for most of it, but it just felt like it was like maybe a tad too long. But just because I didn't like it doesn't mean you will not like it. It has some redeeming qualities. It just wasn't for me right now.
After Solido, I really was interested in reading more about immigration from the perspective of those that immigrate. So I picked up Dear America, Notes on an Undocumented Citizen by Jose Antonio Vargas. And this is a memoir about the author's life migrating when he was 12 from the Philippines to the United States. And it speaks about his life being an undocumented immigrant and the lies that you have to carry and all of the things surrounding how you got to be to where you are. In his case, he was 12 and his mother put him on a plane and sent him here, and he was unaware that he was undocumented and only found out when he went to get his driver's license. This brings up so many themes that were things I never really thought about. Specifically, one that sticks in my mind is that when white people move and migrate, it's looked at as like brave and something fun you're doing. But when it's people of color that are migrating, it's looked at as something negative. And there just were so many points in this that I feel are really important and things that really made me think. So I do recommend this one for that alone.
If there was ever a testament to reading the book cover to cover, meaning the additional sections, whether it be a foreword or an afterword, to me, it is this book. When the Wolf Comes Home by Nat Cassidy, which was sent to me as an early reader edition, and I was elated to do. I actually read it before it came out, but we haven't been making videos. The afterword in this book, just like even thinking about it, just makes me want to tear up. For a horror novel, this just had too many feels in it. And Nat, you are an amazing man. I loved this book after reading the afterword even more than I did while just reading the book. And I don't know. Like if you want some amazing horror that is just unique and an author that cares about the story, this is it. I love this book. It was fantastic. And I didn't tell you anything about it because if you've read Mary or you like Nestlings, you're going to love this book. You should just pick it up.
I finished our book club pick, Paul Murray's The Bee Sting, in the month of April. And Imelda, Dickie, Cass, PJ, oh my God. I did end up loving this book. It's a hefty one. There's a lot in here. This is a family that is just chaotic and each of them have their own set of issues going on, and it all comes together in the end. I cannot wait to talk about this with everyone because this ending, I need to talk about it. Lee is at the very end.
There.
He's so close.
It was a hard month.
So yeah. I'm like waiting for him to finish because if you've read this, the ending, you know that you need to talk about it. So hurry up.
And if you're here and wondering, we are going to have our book club this Thursday. I'll post about it in the Fable app, but we're excited to talk about the book. The only Stephen King that I got through in the month of April was 4 Past Midnight, and I think I might have even started this in March. It is a long one. I think it was well over 1,000 pages. Regardless, it's a book of 4 novellas. I think most of them have actually been released after this came out by themselves. I will say that out of the 4, I really only enjoyed 1, and I liked 2, but The Langoliers was not for me. The Sundog was definitely not for me, but The Library Policeman was super interesting, and just there's a trigger warning in here that I was not prepared for. You could easily figure that out if you do your research. But I want to talk about Secret Window, Secret Garden. If you've seen the movie with Johnny Depp, it does no justice to this story. I thought that this story was fantastic and in many ways was like a better version of The Dark Half, which came out just before this. This is about an author, go figure, Stephen King writing about an author, but regardless, an author plagiarizing work, and the man that is accusing him of the plagiarism is nuts, and the things that happen, you question whether or not he's real. Is the author real? I just loved the story and I was enamored with it. I would have read another 200 pages, and in many ways, it felt like a better rendition of The Dark Half, which was a full book that Stephen King released previous to this, maybe two behind. I don't know. I loved that short story, but otherwise, man, this was just a lot of reading for not a lot of enjoyment in my opinion. Did you like this one? Let me know.
The rest of our books we actually talked about in a previous video, so we are trying to be less long-winded. We're going to be super quick with these next ones.
Here we go. I can't talk about this book on TikTok, the title by Hanif Abduraqib. This book is amazing. You have to read it. If you're an elder millennial like I am, and you grew up in the early 2000s and like music, you're going to love this, but it's so deep and perfect. Oh my God, perfection.
Karen Joy Fowler's We Are All Completely Beside Ourselves. Yes, I loved this book. The story had me thinking. It starts in the middle. I definitely enjoyed this one, and I do recommend.
Last Days by Brian Evenson was an okay for me. I think that's where I'm at. It's just okay.
Jhumpa Lahiri's Interpreter of Maladies is a short story collection, and yes, I do recommend it. A dear friend sent it to me. Thank you, Andrea. It got me back into liking short stories, so yes.
Fernanda Trias, The Rooftop, was claustrophobic as all get out, but I really enjoyed it. This was a yes.
The Darkest Trial by Delores Phillips is so profound and deep and, in my opinion, important, but it is so hard to read. I need to stress that it is very hard to read, and please check all of your trigger warnings, but I do recommend it if you think you can get through the trigger warnings and the hardness.
I read 2 books by authors that are very active on this platform, horror novel authors, and I enjoy their content tremendously. I read Nest of Broken Bones by John Ashley and The Artist by Inigo Mort. These were a lot of fun, and if you want to support the community here, this is an easy way to do it.
Lauren Groff's The Vaster Wild is a book that took me a long time to get into, like halfway through, but once I did, I was wrapped up. It is about the resilience of a woman. It talks a lot about poo and gross things.
I might like this.
Maybe.
Dream State by Eric Puchner is a no for me, unfortunately. And I wanted to love this book. I just didn't. Let me know if you've read it and you feel otherwise.
Lastly, I finished our book club book from the previous month, in the month of April, the first week, Amerikanah. And yes, I do recommend this. I ended up really enjoying this one.
Read it. We were so thankful for everybody's recommendations and also that we were able to get through 14. For those that we mentioned new in this video, we will reach out to you. We'd love to send you a book of your choice. And we're happy to be back. So let's see how long it lasts and how many videos we can make this week. But man, life can life. That's okay.